Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Awesome offensively, and in reality, they weren't awesome offensively. In the first half, they just had the Kwan Lacey broken play. I hate to say this because I do not want to take away credit from everybody who went on the run that they went on. But I think it's fair, maybe you won't, to wonder if that result is different if Lane Kiffin sticks around and everybody else with this Ole Miss.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Buy or sell. Tua has made his last start for the Dolphins. Feels like Sam went easy on this one.
If I could be that crazy guy, was it Jim Cramer? Buy. Yeah, there's no way he's playing for the Dolphins again. After he said that statement, there was no way in hell anyway. But once again, new coach, new GM. I don't know how they're going to do the cap hit. It's massive.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
I'll tell you what, guys. The insider scam is like the best insider scam in the business of, like, in the history of television. They don't know anything until their phone gets the text message in which the deal is done, right? We saw this with Quinn Hughes. We were told, he wants to play with his brothers. Now they're saying that he wanted to be traded to Detroit. In other words, just say you don't know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Hour number 2 is here right now, Joe. I'm trying to keep the energy high for myself. Made it through an hour. See if I get through hour number 2. Not feeling all that great, but the energy is high. Championship games have closed out. College football is done. We look forward to it the next season already. The NFL's got AFC, NFC championship games this Sunday here. It's a lot to look forward to here, even though we're done with college football.
There is, Donnie, a lot of storylines, and of course, getting ready because college basketball underway, huge conference championship games again coming up, or conference games rather, coming up this week. We got a whole new top 10 in college basketball. Seem to be a whole lot of people jockeying for position here, but a lot going on. And of course, the NBA second half will be here before we know it after the All-Star game. And then we got trade deadlines. Oh yeah, pitchers and catchers, I believe, also getting ready to show up here in a couple of weeks.
WBC as well. Looks like Team USA actually trying to win this thing for the first time in a while. Stacked lineup, Hall of Famers, great pitching staff. There is a lot to look forward to. And by the way, college football started in week 0, Joe, like the last week of August. We actually went August, September, October, November, December, and well into January in college football. And next year, as we talked about in hour number 1, Joe, an extra week extension next year in college football, where I believe the championship game, I want to say, is on the 26th of January. So almost playing as long as the Super Bowl. Just what it is here. We got 2 hours to get the people up on information, Joe. We're down 1 hour. We got 1 hour to go. Big topics here. So let's get it started with the early lineup here. And the biggest topic of the night last night was actually not Jimmy Butler getting injured. It was a national championship game, which Indiana, and again, Joe, just a few short years ago, if you were able to look at the predictive markets and go, Indiana's going to win a national championship over the next 5 years, you would have put your house on no just to win $1 because it would have been impossible. And here they are doing the impossible. A win over the Miami Hurricanes, 27-21. Indiana is a national champion. How about that?
Best story that we have seen in a very, very long time, Donnie. I mean, the always losing college football program. I mean, one of the losingest college football programs in the history of the game in 2 years now has not only made the playoffs twice, but now gone undefeated 16-0, and the national championship trophy is in Bloomington. It's just unbelievable when you think about it. And kudos to Kurt Signetti and the university, Donnie, for actually investing, going out and getting them and giving them the resources to be able to put together this run. It's there's going to be a lot of universities trying to copy exactly what they're doing in Indiana.
Fernando Mendoza came to Indiana. He saw Indiana, and he conquered for Indiana. Here's him talking about that big game from last night.
For Fernando, it's Pat 40 from Sports Illustrated. If you could go through the quarterback draw as well, first of all, the timeout, and did you know that was you're going to go for it, and that would be the play call, and then the actual play itself?
Yeah, a big concept that we've really had on ourselves this year is always betting on ourselves. Whether it's preseason, no one thinks we can make it. Whether it's figuring it out in situations like Oregon, Penn State, and Iowa, we always figure it out. And whenever Coach Cignetti, Coach Shanahan, they called that play, we knew, hey, we're going to bet ourselves one more time in the biggest stage of the game. And at that point, I took the drop, and it wasn't the perfect coverage for it, but I trust my linemen, and everybody in that entire offense and entire team had a gritty performance today, and we're all putting our bodies on the line. So it's the least I could do for my brothers.
Come over here to the left-hand side.
How about over to the right-hand side reporter right there? How about that? Sounds a little bit better. By the way, Joe, he took some hellacious shots last night early on and fought right through everything, man.
No, he was beat up. He was more beat up than we have seen him all season long. Iowa got him a couple of good times in that game, but not what Miami did. I mean, again, Miami in the second half was wearing down this Indiana team, and if they make just a couple more plays there, we're having a different conversation. But this is, and I think even Indiana would tell you, this has got to be one of the most physical and grueling games that they have had. And it came down to the last play, Donnie, right? So it doesn't get any closer than what they just had to go through.
By the way, in the Big Ten championship game, like the first play of the game, Mendoza got absolutely rocked. Looked like he might have had a concussion,
Crushed.
wasn't going to be able to play. Fought that off, came back, and they won that game as well. Mendoza is a champion. He'll next be the #1 overall pick, and looks like he's going to be a Vegas Raider.
And nobody wanted him, Donnie.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted him.
Cal,
Nobody wanted him.
Coming here.
Yep.
Hyped to the scene. By the way, they were 100-1 to win the national championship. Nobody gave them a shot, and they rolled 16-0. Didn't even have a loss. Like, hey, they got lucky at the end of the season. Didn't even have a loss. The Buffalo Bills, they took a loss in their final game, and also their coach, he took a loss. But Brandon Beane, the general manager, now promoted as well off top of this, man. I'm telling you, yesterday, reading through social media and taking a look at some of those Bills fans, they were quite upset at what happened yesterday. Not necessarily that McDermott was fired, but Beane should have been gone with them at least, right?
I don't get why now. I mean, after the guy, I mean, I just don't understand. The timing of this doesn't make any sense. The keeping Bean doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any sense. I hope they have a plan, because all the top coordinator, the hot new coordinators all seem to be taking jobs already. So I don't know what's left here.
I don't know what's left either, but for the Tennessee Titans to go, you know what? We made a bad hire with our last coach in Callahan. Let's get back to the basics here. Robert Saleh, second go-around the NFL as a head coach, will be with the Tennessee Titans. He was hired late last night to take over. And in this situation, the Jets technically didn't have a young quarterback. The Titans do have a young quarterback. Maybe Saleh can build that foundation here if the owner in Tennessee just lets him do it.
Yeah, from what I understand, they have restructured the hierarchy there to try and remove her as best as possible here, because she was she got in the way. Let's say it. But listen, I love the fact that he didn't have a ton of success with the Jets. Learned some things there, but he had a ton of success back as the defensive coordinator with a whole bunch of second stringers and practice players. So hopefully he brings that to Tennessee, and they'll be just fine.
McDaniel was fired as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, an offensive genius that just couldn't get that team on track here. Now the Green Bay Packers are having an influence on the Miami Dolphins of both their general manager and now their head coach. Hafley comes to town as the defensive coordinator from the Green Bay Packers to take the top job in Miami.
We knew this was coming, Donnie. This might have been one of the easiest ones. I mean, a new GM whose entire background is based upon the Green Bay Packers, coming in and taking the Green Bay Packers, DC, who was next in line for a head coaching job somewhere. Yeah, no, not hard to figure out, but a lot of decisions for him and for Miami to make for this for the next couple of seasons.
Decisions for Denver. What they're going to get at running back. What are they going to get out of quarterback here? J.K. Dobbins' practice window open. Looked like he was done for the year. Maybe a chance to play in the AFC Championship game, Joe.
All hands on deck, Donnie, right? That's what this is. Home team is a dog. We don't see it very often. and especially in an AFC championship game. And well, they're going to need some guys that can make some plays here, and it would be great to get him back on the field.
Yeah, Bo Nix is starting in this game. You're not really worried about who the backup running back is going to be or extra help. You have Jared Stidham starting. You need all the help you can get. And you know what? The running back is going to be the best friend of the quarterback. Why? Take some of that pressure off me. We'll see if this running game for the Broncos can do that here. The All-Star game. The starters are out, Joe. We don't even know the concept. It says East-West. Here's your starters. It's not even East versus West in the All-Star game. What are we doing?
I don't understand. The NHL figured it out. They got it right. I don't know why the NBA is having such a hard time with. I remember now. Because you can't get the players invested into making it worth watching, and that's the problem, Donnie. Nobody wants to see a 205 to 201, a basketball game in any way, shape, or form.
How about when they were doing like the rules? What was the rules they were doing at the end of the game? I can't remember what it was called here. The Elam rules or whatever, where it's like, okay, you got this many points, you get to close them out. None of that worked. You know what used to work back in the day? Players that cared. It didn't have to be Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Go out, superstars. Show you care. Play a competitive pickup game. Everybody leaves happy, but we can't do that anymore. But Bronny James, Nick's got a couple votes to be an all-star starter here. That's how serious the NBA players are taking this. And whoever Isaac Jones is.
Yeah. Well, he's great. He scored 5 points this season, so he's a big player, Donnie. A big player. Yeah.
Play a hater. We'll be right back after this short break, right here on the early line on the grid.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Awesome offensively, and in reality, they weren't awesome offensively. In the first half, they just had the Kwan Lacey broken play. I hate to say this because I do not want to take away credit from everybody who went on the run that they went on. But I think it's fair, maybe you won't, to wonder if that result is different if Lane Kiffin sticks around and everybody else with this Ole Miss.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Buy or sell. Tua has made his last start for the Dolphins. Feels like Sam went easy on this one.
If I could be that crazy guy, was it Jim Kramer? Buy. Yeah, there's no way he's playing for the Dolphins again. After he said that statement, there was no way in hell anyway. But once again, new coach, new GM. I don't know how they're going to do the cap hit. It's massive.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
I'll tell you what, guys. The insider scam is like the best insider scam in the business of, like, in the history of television. They don't know anything until their phone gets the text message in which the deal is done, right? We saw this with Quinn Hughes. We were told, he wants to play with his brothers. Now they're saying that he wanted to be traded to Detroit. In other words, just say you don't know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
End of an era in Buffalo. And no, we're not talking about the stadium here. That's going to be a new stadium next year as we say goodbye to Rich Stadium and Orchard Park, and we go to the big toaster. It's going to block out wind, all fine and good, and be a more wine and cheese crowd that we used to get that college atmosphere on game day for the Buffalo Bills. They're going to move forward without a head coach. As Sean McDermott was fired here, the general manager was promoted to the front office, and away we go, Joe. Let's start right here. The shocking news that came down yesterday, McDermott was out. That actually surprised me, even though you thought there would be a possibility because it is all about winning. But be careful what you wish for here, Buffalo Bills. McDermott was a really good coach for Buffalo.
And he was very well liked and respected in that locker room. And, there were a lot of guys that took to social media yesterday. And, you could tell this wasn't, and he's been on the hot seat forever, Donnie. We know this, right? But, that was unfortunately the problem with this team isn't exactly McDermott, it's roster construction. And that's the problem with this team. But you didn't address it by firing the GM and Brandon Beane. Instead, you're firing a guy that just won you a playoff game and was, basically a bad call away from heading to an AFC championship game again. He'll be unemployed for all of 30 seconds again with all of these jobs opening. At the very least, he can be a coordinator somewhere, I'm sure. But the reality here is that, the devil you know is still better than the devil you don't. Exactly who are you bringing in here to take over Josh Allen and the Bills' woes? I don't know.
Yeah, it's amazing when you look at it, how good a coach he was at this point and where you move on from this, because you take a look at the teams that they lost to, like the Chiefs dynasty here. 2023 lost by 3 to the Chiefs. 2024 lost by 3 to the Chiefs. 2025 lost by 3 to the Denver Broncos. Sooner than later with Josh Allen, you're hoping to get over the hump, but I don't look at the Buffalo Bills and say, it's Sean McDermott's fault they can't get over the hump. Like, there are extenuating circumstances, because quite frankly, you could say, like, well, yeah, Mike Tomlin won a Super Bowl. That was like 15 years ago. Hey, John Harbaugh, that was like 15 years ago, and those guys got released. It is a win-now league, and I understand it. But as Joe continually points out, and he's right, there's not 1 to 2 coaching vacancies where you're going to get your pick of the litter, where you can say, you know what, I'm going to make a sound decision. Now's the time to jump. There's 10 coaches' jobs that are open here. The Buffalo Bills is a great coaching job, but you fire him late. Maybe you could have Harbaugh in town. Maybe you could have pried Tomlin loose at this point. I don't know. But where the Buffalo Bills go, Joe, I doubt it's going to be, let's hire Joe Brady, our offensive coordinator, make him head coach, and that makes all the difference.
I'm with you here, Di. I mean, he's 98 wins with this, 98 and 50 over 9 years with Buffalo here. Second only to Marv Levy for the organization there, and Marv was there for 12 years. So, unless you had your eye on somebody inside the organization, I don't get it. I really don't. Or unless Beane has an in with Tomlin or somebody else, some big name. I don't. Buffalo is a very unique place to be a coach here. It's a very blue collar town organization. The fans, Bills Mafia. A no name is not going to cut it in Buffalo.
By the way, also, a couple years ago, Christian McCaffrey was up at the trade deadline here, and the Bills were one of the finalists along with the San Francisco 49ers. They didn't want to pay for McCaffrey. I'm not saying that would have resulted in a championship, but McCaffrey's been absolutely sensational. And yes, I know they have Cook at running back, and he's certainly a great running back as well. But also, did you know, Joe, at the trade deadline this year, Waddle was up in the air. Miami goes, you can have him for a first-round pick. I'm going to tell you right now, if they had Waddle, they'd still be playing football right now. But their general manager, Brandon Beane, also went in front of the press just a few days ago. It's like, everybody's playing Madden football at the deadline. You know what? If you played Madden football, you'd still be playing football right now. Get your superstar quarterback, weapons at wide receiver. He didn't do that. Now, the New York Giants, we want weapons at wide receiver for young Jackson Dart. And maybe it's Malik Neighbors, who's coming off a devastating knee injury. But they got their coach, Harbaugh, to the New York Giants here. And by the way, Ian O'Connor put out a tweet that says John Harbaugh, he goes right to John Mara, overstepping Joe Shane, which you knew was going to be the case. One thing I do know is Harbaugh wasn't going to accept a job with any team where he had to answer to a general manager that wasn't his right-hand man.
Yeah, and exactly. And that was kind of the details that they were working on, why we were waiting for everything to be finalized, and we kept hearing they're still working out some of the, structure in the org. Yeah, the structure in the organization is, I don't answer to Joe Shane. You'd be lucky if he still has a job here in another year. So obviously the hierarchy is set. It's going to be Harbaugh and the owner, and that's it.
By the way, you did notice as well as I do, like, hey, Harbaugh's going to be the head coach. Why are we waiting 24 to 48 hours before that ink is dry? That's because the agent for Harbaugh and Harbaugh himself were making sure that he was going to have control. Inside the final 48 hours, Chris Mara, critical second meeting on Friday with John Harbaugh. Harbaugh's agent then started talking to the Titans, increasing that leverage. And then John Mara had to close the deal with basically saying, you answer to me. Here's a blank check. Fill it in. Let's go.
Yep, that exactly correct, which is kudos to Mara. to, having the opportunity. Timing is everything, right? Because you were just going to go likely from one retread and failed coach to another, which would have absolutely been devastating for this franchise and their fans. But you had an opportunity to get something that doesn't walk out of an organization every year, and you jumped on it and you did what it took to get it done. So Giants are back on track here. It should be a lot of fun watching them next season.
You are graded in professional football, Joe, as a coach and also a general manager on who you hire as the coach, how that works out, and what your overall record is. Joe Schoen, as a general manager for the Giants, 22-45, 1 playoff win, no division titles. But here's the best part, Joe. Sometimes you have a couple winning seasons, have a down season, ownership goes, okay, it's okay. That's a mulligan. Get back to it next year. 3 straight 11-plus loss seasons. How did a general manager survive that? I have no idea.
Well, a general manager only survives that because the general manager likely doesn't really have any clout one way or the other. So at this point here, it's okay. We've got a coach now that is going to have the final say on everything. So basically, if you want your job, you're going to sit here and you're going to do and be the right-hand man for Harbaugh, period, whatever he wants.
Exactly. And that looks like what it's going to be, where he's the GM just in name at this point. We'll see how long it goes. And maybe he can attach himself to Harbaugh and still have a job throughout his career. But Daboll got shown the door, and now you see Joe Schoen staying on. It's up to Harbaugh to turn that franchise around. And maybe he can. Jackson Dart is a quarterback here. You got talent at running back. You got some cap space that you could spend, a talented defensive line. Hopefully your young wide receiver Malik Neighbors comes back and is healthy, because you got some building blocks in New York. Maybe it changes next season here. We'll get to those predictive markets next, right here on the early line.
The immediate word on the street in Philadelphia and outside is that the best guy for the job would be Brian Daboll. It's like all you have to do is spend an hour of your life with me and Tyrone every day, and you're going to learn so much and be prepared for future conversations. Because I told you this back in November.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Team USA really undersold this. The superstars really weren't going, but the rest of the world, Latin America, they really geared up. The Team USA actually put their best foot forward, almost like you're having like the dream team of the United States players here going to be out on the baseball diamond. Great pitching, great superstars around. So Clayton Kersaw's like, you know what? You got a spot for me where you can throw me 70 innings in this tournament, because I'm not going to be playing baseball the rest of the year, and I'm just going to go away and relax and be happy.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The outline for Koepka are fantastic. I think it's perfect. It is punitive, but it's fair. You've got to levy some sort of fine, so to speak, for defecting, and I think they've done a wonderful job of being equitable and punishing him a bit at the same time. I think Brooks ultimately wants to be playing with the best.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Predictive markets, they're a lot of fun, and also they can be very profitable as well. A new way to look at investing your money in the sports landscape, as opposed to just taking maybe a point spread. We got great topics that we could talk about, Joe, and one of those topics that is red hot, it's a shame. Like usually they give us, pretty good information on our show in the morning, 7 to 9 a.m. news breaks. They waited till just when we got off the air to fire Sean McDermott for the Buffalo Bills. We would have broke in. We would have had that great coverage for you there. But today we're talking about it. Why? because he is out, and now the Buffalo Bills have to find a new head coach. Take a look at the leaders right now. A 33% chance Brian Dable takes that job. You say, well, why? Wait a second here. He was the head coach of the New York Giants, but did you know he came from the Buffalo Bills and basically resurrected Josh Allen on that MVP trajectory while he was with the Buffalo Bills? Clint Kubiak, Joe Brady, Davis Webb, all offensive guys, which I agree with. Now, do we think that Dable's going to get this job? Because it is a great job to take. And if you're looking for offense, maybe it should be Dable here.
There were so many stories that came out after he left Buffalo where, number one, him and McDermott weren't seeing eye to eye. There was even some questions about Dable and Josh Allen's relationship as well. And what we learned when he took over for the Giants is that he couldn't get along with his, the defensive coordinator. Remember, Martindale couldn't wait to get rid of him there. Apparently, he's a tough dude to work for. So I think whoever it's going to be, Josh Allen's got to sign off on it, because Josh Allen's only had one head coach his entire career, and all he has known is Sean McDermott, and they were really, really close. So, whoever it's going to be, he's going to have to sign off on it in a big, big way here. And we'll find out if Dable makes sense given the history, but I don't know that the relationship is there, Donnie.
Like, I never honestly looked, and maybe you can say, and keep in mind, too, like, Sean McDermott's not the defensive coordinator at this point. Like, other guys are calling those plays. He's more of a CEO coach with a defensive background, and has worked out well for Buffalo. I haven't watched, outside of the 13-second game or whatever it was for the Kansas City Chiefs where they lost that game late, I don't look at the structure of the Buffalo Bills like, what the problem is? The head coach. The problem sometimes is, usually, Joe, when you are in the midst of a run, which the Buffalo Bills are, you push your chips in and say, I got a 2, 3, 4-year window that I need to win in. And the one thing we saw was you go out and get a wide receiver in Stephon Diggs, and it worked out, and he was really good. You get rid of him and go like, well, he's a little bit more of a cancer and wasn't really worth it. We're going to draft Keon Coleman. That was your answer, which didn't work out, and the guy can barely play in the NFL if he's even active. I look at it and say, Joe, if you brought me a wide receiver, if you brought me another game breaker on offense, we probably could get to a Super Bowl. So now you're looking all offensively. Like, is it better to hire Dable, Kubiak, or Brady, who's already on staff calling the plays? That's supposed to make it better? Because you look at the record for McDermott. It was sensational, Joe, outside of getting them to a Super Bowl.
Absolutely correct here. And the problem with the Bills now, like, Josh Allen isn't this young quarterback like he was when Dable was first there, right? Trying to you're not going to give Josh Allen, you know what I mean? Josh Allen needs weapons, but more importantly, Donnie, Josh Allen can handle the offense with himself if you give him enough weapons.
Yeah.
You got to get somebody that can get to the quarterback. You need a game changer on defense. And they don't have that. And that's with the front office. That has nothing to do with the head coach.
And by the way, their defense was ravaged with injuries all the way through. Like Ed Oliver missed like 7-8 games, came back, and then got hurt immediately again in that Broncos game. It just was never right here. College basketball, Joe, we're almost in the month of February, which means at the end of February, we're actually going to be in college basketball conference championship season. But if we take a look at the men's overall champion, it's 2 teams right now in the lead. It's Michigan at 17% and Arizona at 14%. Now, granted, these aren't 7-game series where the cream rises to the top once you get to March Madness. You just got to win one game after the next game after the next game. But Michigan has been known for throttling teams. Arizona, ultra talented here. Even the Duke Blue Devils at 8% here. But Michigan, Joe, right now is the favorite.
Yeah, that's nice. But the reality is it's likely not going to be one of those 2 teams, Donnie. I'll tell you that right now. Find Florida on that list, and whatever that contract is, pay it, invest in it, and be done with it.
Rocking and rolling on Florida here. Let's get to the WBC. I'm waiting for this, and as Borat would say, USNA, the favorites, Joe, at 45%. We do have the best team on paper, but that doesn't always translate here, Joe. Would you invest in the U.S. or go back to Japan?
No, Japan. Absolutely Japan. All that means is we're going to get bounced out immediately. We're going to have the best team on paper, and we're going to get bounced out immediately.
Come on now. That pitching staff is nasty,
Terrible.
Joe. I'll tell you what else is nasty. AFC, NFC championship games. Let's talk about them next. Right here on the early line.
the immediate word on the street in Philadelphia and outside is that the best guy for the job would be Brian Dable. It's like all you have to do is spend an hour of your life with me and Tyrone every day, and you're going to learn so much and be prepared for future conversations. Because I told you this back in November.
The Craig Carden Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Team USA really undersold this. The superstars really weren't going, but the rest of the world, Latin America, they really geared up. The Team USA actually put their best foot forward, almost like you're having like the dream team of the United States players here going to be out on the baseball diamond. Great pitching, great superstars around. So Clayton Kersaw's like, you know what? You got a spot for me where you can throw me 70 innings in this tournament because I'm not going to be playing baseball the rest of the year, and I'm just going to go away and relax and be happy.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The outline for Koepka are fantastic. I think it's perfect. It is punitive, but it's fair. You've got to levy some sort of fine, so to speak, for defecting, and I think they've done a wonderful job of being equitable and punishing him a bit at the same time. I think Brooks ultimately wants to be playing with the best.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Championship weekend, Joe. We just saw a champion last night get crowned in the Indiana Hoosiers in a great playoff run. It was. Now some changes might be coming to the college football playoff, and next year, we already told you, it's already a week later. But that is a gauntlet to run through, the same as it is in the NFL. But are we catching some breaks here if you're the New England Patriots? I mean, how charmed a life can they live, Joe? They go through those Tom Brady years, quickly rebuild. Now they have Drake May in his second year, and they're making a run through the Super Bowl and getting a break, pun intended, from Bo Nix breaking his ankle. 5.5 is the number of a favorite for the New England Patriots, and a total, Joe, at 41.5. Let me start here. It's supposed to be the Patriots should be moving on easily because of backup quarterback for the Broncos, but the Broncos have a good defense. The Broncos are at home. Stidham is a young quarterback that has a nice arm and can be mobile in the pocket, just doesn't have a lot of opportunities. I don't know if Denver can win the Super Bowl, but why am I starting to think I got to build a path for the Denver Broncos to at least cover this game? Am I crazy?
No, you're not, Donnie. And we said it, that there is what's going to happen here is that the public is going to see Jarrett Stidham as the starting quarterback, and they are just going to run to back New England, who has now become that trendy team, right? That the public is just going to overvalue, and we kind of see it here, right? We're at 5.5. And I don't think it's going to get any higher than that. And I think it's not, because you're starting to see some pushback and buyback on the Broncos. And don't forget, the Broncos were a 1.5 point favorite, even a 2-point favorite on the look-ahead line before we knew Nix got hurt. So now you're talking about a 7-point swing here with Stidham starting instead. And to me, that's just an insane move for a team that is completely overperformed all year and is a bit fraudulent, if we're going to be honest here. Who are we kidding? I'm fairly certain that, it's not going to be a CJ Stroud game where Jarrett Stidham is going to, turn the ball over 5 times for you. I think the only play in this would be the dog or pass, because I think New England has a pretty good shot of actually not winning this game in Denver.
Here's what also is factoring in too, Joe. You watched the game last week when Bo Nix was the starter. They lost 2 wide receivers. Talk about the Denver Broncos during that game. I think maybe a concussion to one and a hamstring to the other one. We'll see what lines up this weekend. And Courtland Sutton certainly has to be much more involved than he was last week if they want to win. But also, coaches don't change their stripes. Like you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, and let's just say they move on and they were playing a game without Mahomes this weekend. I think Andy Reid would say, let's slow the game down and run the football. That's not what they do. Sean Payton had Bo Nix last year as a rookie and this year in his second year, throwing the football all over the field. Why? Because that's his offense. I don't think Jared Stidham, because the common thought process, and I'm not saying people are wrong out here. Oh, look at Denver, as we say. Get J.K. Dobbins back. Hopefully that works out. You know, you have a couple other running backs that you can splice in. Harvey's been certainly good over the past 5 or 6 weeks, and let's run the football. That's not what they do. So Stidham has a passing prop, Joe, of 187.5. What do you do with that?
Well, listen, as long as he does it, as long as he protects the football, and give credit to Sean Payton here, because this is where coaching comes into play, right? I mean, Sean Payton did a really good job of limiting the turnovers for Bo Nix, not asking him to do a whole lot. He's not going to ask Jared Stidham to be, chucking the ball down the field for 40 times here, but they are certainly going to have it set up where, in addition to running and playing great defense, there's going to be a lot of screens. There's going to be a lot of things there, that couple of big plays one way or the other. And guess what? Getting to 200 yards is not going to be an issue.
Take a look at the total, Joe, which 40.5 was that opening number. It's the 41.5 now. We talked about the weather conditions. It's normal Denver, like high 30s at this point, no precipitation in the forecast, and light winds here. But as I take a look at the scoring for the Denver Broncos on the season with Bo Nix, your starter, it was only 23.6 points. That's a decent number, but you probably figure that's going to get a slight downgrade in this game. And the higher the stakes here, you want to protect your quarterback that hasn't thrown a ton of touchdown passes, which he only has 8. And by the way, he also has 8 interceptions in his career, as we're talking about Stidham. How do you play the total in this game, Joe? Most people lead to believe backup quarterback Denver, good defense, lean on your defense, let's go under. Is that the case for you in this game?
No, I would look towards the over, Donnie, in this spot here. I mean, listen, we know the Patriots offense is, well, they're bottom 5 in red zone offense. They're also bottom 5 in red zone defense. The Broncos, they're top 5 in both red zone offense and red zone defense. So that means they are very, very reliant upon the big play, right? The explosive play. That's how the Patriots score. They have some weapons to get it done, but Denver, listen, they've been pretty good in limiting those explosive plays, but doesn't mean they're not going to have a couple here and put some points on the board. It's a low number. 24-20, Donnie, is very realistic to me for this game.
How about game number 2, which is the NFC Championship game that will take place in Seattle, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, Joe. Just getting an early week weather report in this one. 45 degrees, no rain in the forecast, 3-mile-an-hour winds. Absolutely love to see that. Now understand this. The Rams went on the road, pulled out a victory against the Carolina Panthers. The Rams went on the road, pulled out a victory against the Chicago Bears. The Rams going back on the road to Seattle in the NFC Championship game. This line opened up around 1.5, 2.5, depending where you're shopping at. We still see 2.5s across the board. I want to start here with you, Joe. Where does this line up once we get to kickoff Sunday at 6:30?
Yeah, and I think that's about what you're going to see here, Donnie. But again, I would not be shocked if maybe you start getting some Ram money coming in, maybe push this thing down to 2. I don't think you're going to get an influx of Seattle money pushing it back to a field goal or even over a field goal. We know 3 is a very key number here. But if you go back to when these two teams played, right? Week 16, it was a Thursday night game. You had Seattle as a 1.5, 2.5 point favorite, and they won 38-37, needed a complete collapse and a ridiculous 2-point conversion in overtime to win that game. But when you look at the Rams in week 11, they won 21-19. The Rams were a 3.5 point favorite in that game, and the total was 48-49.5 here. So my question is, do we trust the public enough that they are enamored with Sam Darnold to think that he's going to shoot out and he's going to beat Matt Stafford and company here? I don't think so. I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of Sam Darnold love here in the market all week. I think 2.5 is what you see is what you're going to get all week in this one.
Kenneth Walker was really good last week. He's going to have to be really good again because Zach Charbonnet tore his ACL. And that's a great 1-2 punch in the NFL that now you don't have. And you might say, like, okay, Walker can handle it, but you're used to getting these guys breathers and taking off a play or two and coming back fresh. That's not going to be the case in this game. Everything's going to be on Walker. But understand this, too. You see that total, Joe, at 47.5. We combine both of those games this year that these two teams have already played. Take a look at the points scored. 58 for the Rams, 57 for the Seahawks, and look at the yardage. If you just average it out, over 400 yards per game per team here. So the thought process of, hey, NFC Championship game, two good defenses, they've shown you these two teams can get up and down the field, and basically it is going to be dome-like conditions up there in Seattle. Little chilly, yeah. No wind, no rain, should be fine.
Yeah, which I thought that was that week 16 game, Donnie. That total was 42 and a
Crazy.
half, which is hilarious when you think about it.
Yeah.
Especially given the fact that the week 11 game was almost 50 points was the total in that game. And yet you can see how razor thin the margins are for both these teams. They play one score games.
Yeah.
They are very comparable to one another. So what separates them, Donnie? Well, what's going to have to separate them is, who do you trust with the ball last? Sam Darnold and Seattle, or Matt Stafford and the Rams? And I think that will help you decide who wins this game.
It's always going to come down to that, because here's the thing about Darnold. Like, how is he going to play last week against the 49ers? Didn't have to play well because he just ransacked that injured team. Now, if he beats the Los Angeles Rams and gets to the Super Bowl and then wins the Super Bowl against whatever the AFC opponent's going to be, New England or Denver, do you know what we're going to do next year in big games, Joe? Still say,
yeah,
I don't know if I can trust Sam Darnold in this spot. He just has that moniker right now. Now, maybe you change it up, Joe. NFC Championship game, 25 of 35, 330, three touchdowns, leads them on a game-winning drive. You say, you know what? Darnold's finally come up to the prime time here. But last week, he's not going to get any credit. I need to see Sam Darnold take a game from Matthew Stafford, because the one thing I do know, Joe, me and you look at this game and go, I expect good things from Stafford. What's taking about Sam Darnold? The way it is, man. We'll be right back after this short break for more right here on the Early Line.
The outline for Koepka are fantastic. I think it's perfect. It is punitive, but it's fair. You've got to levy some sort of fine, so to speak, for defecting, and I think they've done a wonderful job of being equitable and punishing him a bit at the same time. I think Brooks ultimately wants to be playing with the best.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I'll tell you what, guys. The insider scam is like the best insider scam in the business of, like, in the history of television. They don't know anything until their phone gets the text message in which the deal is done, right? We saw this with Quinn Hughes. We were told, he wants to play with his brothers. He wants to play with his brothers. Now they're saying that he wanted to be traded to Detroit. In other words, just say you don't know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
The NBA tonight. Looks like we have 3, 6, 7 games on the card today, Joe. No afternoon action. We had an MLK Day celebration. A couple games in the afternoon yesterday, and then filtered into the night. Some teams are playing a back-to-back, and that includes Those Philadelphia 76ers won yesterday against the lowly Pacers. Couldn't get a better opponent today in the city with the Phoenix Suns coming to town. This line opened up overnight, Joe, -1 point favorite towards the Sixers. Most outlets still sitting at -1. Some have gone to -1.5. Some even have the Phoenix Suns as a 1 point favorite here, and a total of 223.5. Always tough to gauge when Joel Embiid plays the day before if he's going to play today. Will it matter at this point? Which way would you go, Joe? Sixers on a back-to-back, Suns here in town. What are we looking at here?
I know the Suns here, as long as Booker is playing here, yeah, I got no problem. I have no problem backing them at this short number. I mean, that was a great effort yesterday, but second of a back-to-back, the Sixers haven't exactly been money at home in these spots here. So, but Paul George did sit out yesterday, right? So likely he will go today, and Embiid will likely be out. But my goodness, Phoenix has really been playing well here. So, and they handled easily the Brooklyn Nets. I think they're 5-2 in their last 7 games. This is a big long road trip for them. They're only 2-2, but to me, I think the Suns have the edge on the glass with Mark Williams now, and it feels like 1.5. Phoenix Suns could be the right side here.
Yeah, both teams playing a back-to-back today. The Suns were in Brooklyn. The Sixers were at home. So maybe a slight travel advantage for the Sixers because they didn't travel at all. Brooklyn, certainly not too far from Philadelphia, but you still have to change hotels, get into town. You maybe get in a little bit late, just the way it is. But a 1 point favorite for those Philadelphia 76ers. Game number 2, we'll talk about, Joe, an 8 p.m. start tonight in the association. The Spurs on the road to take on the Houston Rockets. This line opened up around 3 overnight. Now we see 4s and even as high as 4.5s in the marketplace. Only about 40% of the tickets right now, Joe, I'm seeing coming in on the Houston Rockets in a total that has dropped overnight 224.5 down to 220.5. How about that? Spurs Rockets.
Yeah, so we need to know exactly who's playing in this game here for San Antonio. And, Wemby still on a minutes restriction here of sorts. Is he going to go? If he does, I mean, Stephen Castle was dealing with with flu-like symptoms the other night, but it would be great if we could see him. I know Steven Adams is out, Eason is out, or at least day-to-day for Houston. Houston, I tend to like to back at home in spots like this, but it feels like if I can get points with San Antonio, it feels like it's worth rolling, especially more than a bucket, Donnie. It feels like it might be worth rolling the dice, even if Wemby is a late scratch.
Yeah, Wemby 33-10 last night. And again, it is a back-to-back, but the Spurs were at home. Not a great long, it's not like the Spurs are going to, let's just say, Minnesota. They're only traveling in-state. We'll see if that turns out. But the early indicators are the Rockets catching a little bit of steam this morning, despite, again, only having about 40% of the ticket count. One team on a bye, one team not on a bye. Those are the differences that Joe points out. Maybe wait till a little bit later in the day to see who's in, who's out. Then those numbers certainly will be baked into the line at that time. The Los Angeles Lakers taking on the Denver Nuggets in elevation. How about this, Joe? Opening line favorite for the Lakers at -2. Most outlets now coming back at -2.5 as a favorite for the Los Angeles Lakers, and a total of 228.5 live, despite only 25% of the tickets here coming in on the Denver Nuggets at home.
Yeah, I can't believe this is the first time they're actually playing. They got 3 games set this season, Donnie, against one another. I believe Aaron Gordon already good to go, but the Lakers don't have Austin Reeves. I think DeAndre Ayton, they said, could also be good to go here tonight, which is nice because the Nuggets don't have Valanciunas and they don't have the Joker. So they don't have a big man right now until they can get healthy. But Aaron Gordon is a pretty tough, customer there, and they still have Murray. Christian Braun has already been ruled out. So, the Lakers tend to be really good against those sub-500 teams, Donnie. They don't tend to be this good against teams that are over 500. And it feels like, the Nuggets at home, second half, might be worth taking a look here, and certainly might be worth it plus money, maybe a little sprinkle on the money line.
See what Luka Doncic has to say about that game tonight. And also, Joe, the NBA betting odds for the awards here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, did you know today, as we sit on June the 20th, is a -350 price to be the MVP, followed by Luka Doncic at a +8 to 1 price, and then Cade Cunningham and Jaylen Brown. Is it so easy if OKC just maintains and down the stretch, SGA is just normal SGA. He wins that. Or is there a chance that Luka can go absolutely nuclear and take this? Because coming into the season, a lot of people thought Luka Doncic would be able to overtake and win that MVP. But SGA seems like just in cruise control and being priced appropriately that way.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it looks like right here. But listen, we all knew Luka is more than capable of scoring every night and being a one-man wrecking machine. I don't know that that's going to win him a lot of games against the upper echelon teams in the West, though. But he'll certainly rack up enough stats to make it very interesting, won't he?
Yeah, we take a look at the Western Conference odds here to win it, and certainly OKC is a favorite at -155, which isn't that substantial here because they're just a short plus money, basically favorite to win the NBA championship, followed by the Nuggets, Spurs, Rockets, and Timberwolves. And as we continue to say, we sit here late January in the first part of February. The trade deadline is going to hit, and some of those things certainly will change those numbers. But it's clear, if OKC is healthy, Joe, entering into the playoffs, they're going to be a decided favorite, and rightfully so, being the home team and staying at home, have a great record here. But the one thing also is once the Denver Nuggets just get back to being healthy again, and I'm not saying like, a surprise where it's like, hey, our big man, if he misses some games, could he be fresher for the playoff run for the Nuggets, showing some value there?
Yeah, absolutely. Valanciunas was supposed to be the depth behind the Joker because every time he goes to the bench, that their point differential is -12, -15. So he was actually doing a really good job of spelling the Joker and keeping up momentum. So getting both of those guys back healthy, the two big men, they are absolutely worth a look in the future market.
How about the Clips sitting at a 50-1 price, not for the NBA championship, to win the NBA Western Conference? Pretty incredible with some of these teams that are veteran-laden with superstars and the pricing that you can get. One more segment to go on a Tuesday edition of the Early Line is coming up right here after this short break.
The outline for Koepka are fantastic. I think it's perfect. It is punitive, but it's fair. You've got to levy some sort of fine, so to speak, for defecting, and I think they've done a wonderful job of being equitable and punishing him a bit at the same time. I think Brooks ultimately wants to be playing with the best.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I'll tell you what, guys. The insider scam is like the best insider scam in the business of, like, in the history of television. They don't know anything until their phone gets the text message in which the deal is done, right? We saw this with Quinn Hughes. We were told, he wants to play with his brothers. He wants to play with his brothers. Now they're saying that he wanted to be traded to Detroit. In other words, just say you don't know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Right back out of here. Final segment of the day on the Early Line right here on the SportsGrid Network. Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri bringing the energy and keeping it high post-championship Monday night in South Florida. 27-21. The Indiana Hoosiers, perfect 16-0 and national champions. Superstar quarterback, superstar head coach, now a target on their back next year. And I tell you right now, Cignetti loves that. All offseason, he's going to tell you that they are the national champions, and you should watch your mouth around them, Joe. They proved it last night in ultra entertaining second half, which it's fun to see a coach say, you know what? Let's be aggressive and play to win, but make the smart plays. Not talking about you, Dan Campbell. Not talking about you, Ben Johnson. But you did it the right way in Cignetti. Pressed all the right buttons, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, it's kudos. Amazing job. Huge turnaround. Rags to riches. We've never seen. It's hard to come up with any comparison, Donnie, of a team that has been known as the losingest program in college football forever. All of a sudden, in 2 years, hiring one coach in an NIL era, no less, where kids are running to go get the bag and there's no loyalty whatsoever. The fact that he was able to put this back-to-back and go 16-0 this year and win a national championship, I don't think anything comes close to it, Donnie. I really don't.
Fantastic stuff here. And by the way, yesterday, right when we got off the air, you saw the Buffalo Bills make a head coaching change and fire their head coach, Sean McDermott. Let me ask you this quick question, Joe. Do we get an NFL head coach hiring today before we get on the air tomorrow morning? What do you think? A lot of spots out there.
I think we do. There's still a lot of spots available, right? And there's still some big name guys that are available as well. I mean, Pittsburgh, I think, might be the next team to go because I keep hearing that Mike McCarthy is in the lead for the Pittsburgh job, and he would want Aaron Rodgers back for another year.
Holy moly. We might have a lot to talk about tomorrow, but the one thing we do want to talk about is Joe won yesterday. I lost. We always like that double-up combo, which we got Friday. Now it's time to put some money where our mouth is here and win some bets. Here's bye. Floor is yours, Joe. College basketball, pro basketball, NHL. Where are we going?
Oh, let's go college hoops, Donnie. Let's head to the MAC because Miami of Ohio is the best story happening right now that nobody's talking about. They are on their way to quite possibly an undefeated season. Now, they got a little scare last game against Buffalo. So not only it required multiple buzzer beaters, one in regulation to get it to overtime, and then one in overtime to actually walk it off. And the reason is, Donnie, is because they are one of the best three-point shooting teams we have seen in a long time. Nearly 43% as a team from three. Now they're taking on Kent State. Ken Palm has these teams rated 146 to 94. They're not that far apart. But come on, who are we kidding here? There's obviously the basketball gods love Miami of Ohio. If they win this game against Kent State, and I think they do, Donnie, they got a chance at ripping off every 22-0, 23-0 in the first week of February. What a story it'll be. I think they make enough threes tonight again to put Kent State away.
I can't wait, Joe, for them to run the table in the regular season, get to the college, their conference championship game, lose it, and then us have an argument why they shouldn't be in, right? Hey, the team won 27 games. Oh, but that tough last loss that they had. Stop the madness. That's what we have 64, 68 teams in for. Put those bad boys in if they certainly complete a good season. For me, Joe, I'm going back to the NBA tonight. Late night action, 10 p.m. start. The Miami Heat taking on the Sacramento Kings. Back-to-back for the Miami Heat. The Kings at home only catching around 35 to 37% of the tickets here as the home team and an underdog. This line opened up at 2.5, went to 3.5. Now it's back to 2.5 at most outlets. I grabbed the 3.5 here. Let's go tonight with an outright winner for the Sacramento Kings and the fallback option to take them at plus 3.5. I don't know how I lost yesterday, Joe. A -3. My team won the game and I didn't cover. That's a tough scene. Tonight, Joe, we go 2-0 for the people post-college football season. That's how you celebrate it.
That's how you get it done here, Donnie. A little college hoops and NBA action. I feel good about that play, too, because Miami, bit head-scratching how they got absolutely destroyed in that game. And Golden State lost Jimmy Butler in the process. Unreal.
Adam Schefter tweeting out quickly. The Steelers are interviewing Vikings DC Brian Flores today for the head coaching job and former Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy on Wednesday. The wheel in the sky keeps on turning. Like that.
Aaron Rodgers, Donnie. Get the Kalshi and bet him. He'll be back. Because if
we gotta
McCarthy's the
check
head
those
coach,
options.
he's sucking them up to coming back for another year.
Back in business, Renegade in full blast in Pittsburgh. We'll see you guys bright and early once again tomorrow morning.